Welcome back everyone to the latest episode of the Lodge in the Lounge sessions. I'm Simon Taylor, the Provincial Membership Officer for Cornwall, and we're here again in the COVID safe and risk assessed Masonic Hall in Redruth for our next interview. This week we are honoured to be joined by Kevin Hicks, the Provincial Grand Master of the Cornwall Mark Master Masons. Kevin, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us here today. We're obviously going to talk to you about the Mark degree, but as you know, during these previous interviews, we've asked everyone a series of set questions. So if you don't mind, we'd like to start by asking you the same set of questions. So first of all, how did you become a Freemason?
Well, first of all, Simon, thank you for inviting me. Great honour. And yes, probably the usual steps, actually. Family connections. I had an uncle who many would know, called Alan Green, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. And I had a great uncle, my grandfather's brother, who was in Boscawen Lodge. And I grew up in a sort of farming community, and I think the reason I joined was because I knew several members who were in the craft, and I respected them greatly. And they encouraged me, and I joined as soon as I could after 21, which at the time was a bit of a culture shock, but actually now I'm benefiting from joining at 21. So I haven't been now in the craft for 46 years, and enjoyed every minute of it.
Brilliant, thank you. And what would you say off the back of that has been your single best experience in Freemasonry?
Oh gosh, very, very difficult. I've been through 8 chairs. I'm in 6 orders, all enjoyed them all, but I've got to say that the single best was being installed as Provincial Grand Master 2014 by the Programme Master at the time. And I think the actual moment is when you've been installed and you walk out with 300 Masons, Mark Masons, and singing Trelawney gets you right there, and that's my I've had many, but that's my single best experience.
Yeah, I can't say that anybody would think it would be anything other, but yeah, that must be
an amazing moment.
Yeah, incredible moment. So off the back of that, where would be the most memorable place you have visited in Freemasonry?
Yeah, I thought about that one. I have the privilege of going through to many provinces up and down the country. I think I've done almost 30 other provinces in my tenure. And I think one of the highlights is Guernsey, for those who haven't been, where there's an underground temple. That's an amazing place, but boring really. Grand Lodge has got to be the place. I've had the privilege of, and for those of you who are not in the Mark degree, it's very similar. We have our June installation meet, all our quarterly meetings now at Great Queen Street. And being a Provincial Grand Master, you walk through those doors to a full house, and then you don't look up for a while because you don't want to fall over, but when you get down and sit down behind the Programme Master and you look up and see that the roof of Great Queen Street, it's an amazing building, and you get goosebumps every time you go there. So that's the place it's got to be, really.
A number of people have said how special it is watching that procession. So actually for yourself to be in the procession must be absolutely...
You're a little bit worried you might flush your lines and fall over.
Must be incredible.
But it is an amazing experience.
Yeah. So not including your current position, what would you say has been your most enjoyable role in Freemasonry?
I cheat in here because it is a current one as well. But PGM, yes, great. But the other one is I have the privilege of being a trustee of the Mark Benevolent Fund. There's 12 trustees. It's a 6-year term, and it works very closely with the MCF, but we tend to pick up the smaller charities, Scouts, independent lifeboats, etc., smaller schools, etc., and to read through the applications and also do the presentation checks when COVID allows, is very, very fulfilling, and it touches you, and it's a great honour for me to be a trustee, but it's one of the most fulfilling. It is the most fulfilling the job I've had in Freemasonry.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's something, and we've also spoken to the Provincial Charity Steward, Mike Pritchard, in a previous interview, and the work that goes on by Freemasons in Cornwall and throughout the country is quite incredible, and again, to be involved in something like that must be
I think we're getting the craft and the mark and getting their act together a little bit, and you know, we don't want to sing from the highest what we do, but I think we do need to be acknowledged, and we do have to mention it a lot more than we have. And so I, you know, would ask all Mark Masons and Craft Masons to tell people what we do, because it's a long story, this one, and I won't touch on it too long, but the charity is very, very important and has become far more important. But when I joined, going back to your previous question, when I joined Freemasonry, charity wasn't mentioned. You joined Freemason because you respected the people in it, and when you were in it, the ritual told you how to behave better in life and the morals, etc. Charity was the third thing, and I'm always, having gone through my Freemasonry experience with that in mind, I would hate to think that charity was the number one priority. Very contentious, this, and I could talk for hours about it, but it is very, very important, and it is something that means that we're giving something back. But I would say that as far as recruitment, I wouldn't always say that it's the number one recruitment. But I'll probably talk to David Pascoe and Stephen Byrne about that. I have done already, especially when we're in festival.
No, I think I'd probably agree in the context of what you're saying for membership and recruitment, that we do look to the special aspects of Freemasonry to encourage
There's
people.
more to it than charity.
Absolutely, and if people are enjoying Masonry and enjoying their time here, then by logic we will hopefully, as a consequence of that, make more for charity. So yeah, I think it's a benefit knock-on effect.
That's right.
So with charity in mind, and this is a bit of an interesting question that's produced some very unique answers, but no names or locations, but what is the most interesting, unique raffle prize you've ever won?
This is an easy one. The Mark degree is very similar to the craft, and I had the honour of being Provincial Warden in 1997. And on a South Coast Harbourside Lodge, I won first prize on the raffle, which was a very, very large crab in a bucket, and which caused some merriment. But I obviously put it in the back of my car. When I got home, it was most of the water had disappeared. And for those of you who don't know, you don't ever put normal water in on a crab and expect it to live very long, which I did. So I woke up in the following morning and found that it died. So luckily I had a brother-in-law who was a restaurateur, so I handed him the crab and got a free Sunday lunch out of it. But that caused some amusement. But that's the most surprising one I've ever had, without a shadow of a doubt.
Thanks, Kevin. I think you potentially are winning for most unique prize at the moment, but we've got a few more interviews to do.
There isn't too many. You can probably guess which area. It's a Harborside, South Coast, but yes, and there's a few characters in that lodge, so it was caused some amusement.
Absolutely. Well, we'll let you know what your unique prize is for winning most unique raffle prize. If you could give one bit of advice to a new member, what would it be?
It's very, very difficult. I sort of don't always give advice. I can only go by my experience, really. As I said, I joined when I was 21, and I think when you join at 21, it's an ideal time, it's a perfect time, and you've got time to think. And I joined before I got married, joined before I had children. I would advise, I was initiated in Tregello at St Day, and there was a Mark degree in that temple as well, which we all know is still there at Boscawen. So I joined the craft in 1975, I joined the Mark in 1976. A lot of invitations, a lot of arm twisting, decided no. I was getting married, not long after as I had children, so I left it. In 1987, I thought, well, now I've got children are growing up, etc., or getting a bit older, I'll join the craft, the chapter. and I've enjoyed every minute of that as well. And there's a bit of a plan coming here. 1997 I joined the Royal Art Mariners. In 2002 I joined the Rose Croix, and I've since joined the Royal and Select. I was lucky that I went through the Mark Chair, and I say that, I think I was lucky to go through the Mark Chair before the Craft Chair. It was only 2 months difference the way it worked out, but it did give me a feel into how to sit in a chair. So I would say, if you're younger, don't rush it. If you're over 50 when you join, I would slightly different, because then I would advise that you do join perhaps the 3 big ones initially, and then go from there, but be very cautious about being in chairs at the same time, because it does ruin your enjoyment without a shadow of a doubt. So when you get to be a senior deacon or something, just think about the plan ahead, and then work out, leave a couple of years between each chair, depending how good at ritual you are, but even then I would, the experience isn't just in your own lodge, the experience is going around the province and meeting new people, and you want to do that, and if you're in 2 or 3 chairs, then it makes that impossible. So that's my advice for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in various formats that everyone has said similar things, is make sure you're enjoying it, make sure you take your time, work at your own speed. So it is something I think, and as somebody that personally was in 2 chairs at once, I can attest to how hard work it is trying to manage 2 different degrees at the same
you've
time.
Especially if you've got the family as well, and it's that they must come first. So just plan ahead, that's all you can do, and it isn't always easy, but if you attend your lodge regularly, you can work out the way things are going. Those are not likely to go through a chair, etc. So it can, as long as you think about it, it can be a pleasurable experience for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, you are the Provincial Grand Master for the Province of Cornwall Mark Master Masons. So for the members watching who are not in the Mark degree, or indeed our friends who are not Freemasons, could you tell us a bit about the Mark degree?
I could talk for hours about this. I'm on the Grand Lodge 3 hours recruitment, retention and reinvigoration group. So there will be something coming out quite shortly for a recruitment exercise. The Mark degree is one of the 3 senior degrees that, as far as we know, it started at about the same time, and it has its own headquarters, which is just off the Mall at 86 St James, and we class it as our London office, and we go there you have a very nice lunch, etc. But it's such a popular, and the temple isn't that big, that we use Great Queen Street on most of our big occasions. The headquarters are, because it's separately on its own, I think it does benefit, and it also administers the other 9 degrees. There's 10 degrees administered out of 86 St James. It has its own registered charity. I mentioned the MBF, which is a great asset, and we will be giving out about £2 million this year, and like I say, it works very closely with the MCF, and a recent donation is happening today and tomorrow actually to hospices throughout the country, and each Mark Lodge has been asked to give £1,000 to a local hospice, which works out at 1.25 million, and that will be happening in the next few days. So that's another big place. It's very much a Mark family, and it's a little bit hard to explain to people in the craft, but I think there's various people in the Mark degree refer to the magic of the Mark and the friendliness of the Mark, etc. But I think that derives myself in the fact that those who join the Mark degree and the chapter are very keen craft masons, and basically they tend then to meet some the same people, but also other people. So if you join other lodges, and that creates a better experience, and so therefore you become closer friends. When you meet people, there are also always people that you get friendly with, and so therefore the experience gets greater. I think the marked degree always encourages social interaction with families, which I think is very, very important. So an awful lot of our members, the wives are best friends as well, and go on holiday, etc. So that's another plus. Each marked mason also has its own unique mark, and if you ever look closely at a building like Truro Cathedral, you'll see little marks all over the place, and we get our unique mark, and it obviously derives from the original stonemasons. And you lead into that, and then the moral of the story in the marked degree, which incidentally, when I joined, when I was advanced rather than initiated, I can honestly say, and I know I'm a bit biased, but I can honestly say it was the one degree where I came out of where I understood the story. And for those like you and I, Simon, who've done it, you come away knowing that, it tells you the story that you might get hits in life and you might get knocked back, but if you keep working hard, you'll get there. And our getting there is to put the keystone in the building, in the temple, and that's unique. And I think there's great rewards for that. I like to think we're the friendly degree. The whole structure of the marked degree is very similar to the craft, whereas there's other provinces exactly the same, and there's even many other countries. I've been to Spain on a couple of occasions, and you get invites to Belgium and Holland, and all over, and it's a very rewarding experience. The big thing about the marked degree is only one degree, so it's a lot easier, and you can get to sort of provincial rank and grand rank quicker, but not to the detriment of experience, which I like to think. You're talking about 4 years after the chair rather than 7 to get your first appointment, and then another 4 years when you get promotion in Provincial Grand Lodge, and straight after that you can get grand rank, and I get 4 allocations a year plus special events. We've recently been cut back from 6, which is a good thing, but I think 4 is about right. So yes, it's a special occasion when you get grand rank, and it's exactly the same as the craft. You get a full house at Great Queen Street, and so yes, I love the degree. I've been very, very lucky to, as I say, join when I was 21, and I've had the full experience. I love my chapter, I love my craft, I love my Rose Choir, and I love my Royal and Select. But the mark is the one that I enjoy the most anyway. But thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you, Kevin. I would agree. Having been a Marked Master Mason for a number of years, it is a very special degree. I think from my personal experience, when I joined, I found it very familiar, and it was very friendly, and 100% agree with you when you come away with a good understanding of the story, and you feel, as with the chapter, that it expands your Masonic knowledge. So what we will do, if you're okay with it, we will put the link to the Cornwall Marked Master Masons website on the bottom of this page, so if any of our members would like to find out any more, they can go onto the site and have a look, and hopefully when we're all back up and running, we'll be able to bring a few people around.
I would encourage anyone to look at the website. Through lockdown, I think we've had a very good succession of newsletters that have been coming out monthly. All those newsletters are on our website. I think we're up to 15 now, and a new one came out this week, and it gives you an insight into some of our members and the way the structure behaves, and so I ask you all to look at our website, and it'll be a good help you into the experience. But in your yearbook, there's always the communication of email and phone numbers are in there, so if anybody is interested, I'm sure that someone will get back to them through the Provincial Secretary or myself or my deputy or my assistant.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak to us today. It's been an absolute honour and pleasure having you with us. Thank you to you all, as always, for watching. We will be back next week with another episode. In the meantime, stay safe.